Emergency protocol. The alarm system screamed through the corridors of the exploration vessel Harmony's Edge as Captain Jackson Drake fought against the failing controls. Sparks flew from damaged consoles while the ship plummeted toward the barren surface of Kepler 442b. His hands moved with practiced precision across the navigation panel, trying desperately to stabilize their descent. "Hull breach in sectors 4 through 7, called out his navigator, her voice melodic despite the chaos. Serafina Vex belonged to the Xylorian species, her people known for their ethereal beauty and advanced technological prowess. Her skin held a faint luminescent quality, shifting between pale silver and soft blue depending on her emotional state. Right now, it pulsed with urgent amber tones as she worked frantically at her station. "Can you give me anything to work with?" Jackson shouted over the groaning metal and failing systems. Sweat beaded on his forehead as he watched their altitude drop dangerously low. The mining station below grew larger in their view screen, its abandoned structures jutting up like broken teeth. Serafina's delicate fingers danced across holographic displays, her large violet eyes reflecting the cascade of data streaming before her. "I'm rerouting power from life support to the stabilizers, but we only have minutes before complete system failure." The ship shuddered violently, throwing them both against their restraints. Jackson caught a glimpse of Serafina as she steadied herself, her flowing silver hair catching the emergency lighting. Even in this moment of crisis, he couldn't help but notice the graceful way she moved, so different from human women yet undeniably captivating. "There," she announced, her voice carrying that musical quality that all Xylorians possessed. "I've located a landing platform near the main facility. It's our best chance." Jackson nodded grimly, adjusting their trajectory. The abandoned mining station had been left behind when the planet's resources were depleted, but its basic infrastructure remained intact. If they could just reach it in one piece. Impact and survival. The crash landing was brutal, but survivable. The Harmony's Edge skidded across the metal platform, tearing through support beams and storage containers before finally coming to rest against a massive ore processing unit. Emergency foam sealed the worst of the hull breaches, but the ship was clearly beyond repair. Jackson unbuckled himself with shaking hands, his military training kicking in as he assessed their situation. The bridge was a wreck of twisted metal and smoking electronics. "Serafina, are you hurt?" She pushed herself up from her station, her movements fluid despite the trauma. A thin cut traced along her temple, the wound glowing faintly with her natural bioluminescence. "I'm functional," she replied, though her voice carried a tremor she couldn't quite hide. Their eyes met across the destroyed bridge, and for a moment, the weight of their situation settled between them. They were alone on a hostile world, their ship destroyed, with no immediate hope of rescue. The diplomatic mission that had brought them together had been meant to strengthen relations between their species, but now they faced a far more personal challenge. "We need to secure shelter and assess our supplies," Jackson said, forcing himself to focus on survival protocols rather than the way Serafina's presence seemed to fill the space around her with an almost magnetic energy. As they gathered emergency supplies from the wreckage, their hands occasionally brushed against each other. Each contact sent an unexpected jolt through Jackson's system. He'd worked with Xylorians before, but never in such close quarters. Never with someone like Serafina, whose very presence seemed to awaken something primal within him. Exploring the station, the abandoned mining facility stretched out before them like a metal labyrinth. Massive conveyor systems stood frozen in time, while processing units loomed overhead like sleeping giants. The air recycling systems still functioned, providing breathable atmosphere throughout most of the complex. "This place gives me chills," Serafina admitted as they made their way through the main corridor. Her skin had shifted to a deeper blue, reflecting her unease. The emergency lighting cast strange shadows that seemed to dance around her figure. Jackson found himself walking closer to her than necessary, drawn by an inexplicable need to protect her. "We'll find a secure location to set up base camp," he assured her. "The station's automated systems are still running, which means we have power and basic life support." They discovered a supervisor's office on the 3rd level that offered both security, and a view of the surrounding area. Serafina immediately began setting up their communication equipment while Jackson secured the entrances. Working together, they fell into a natural rhythm that surprised them both. "You're different from what I expected," Serafina said softly, as they shared a meal of emergency rations. The artificial daylight was fading, replaced by the planet's unusual binary sunset that painted everything in shades of purple and gold. "How so?" Jackson asked, genuinely curious. He'd heard that Xylorians had preconceived notions about humans being crude and overly aggressive. "You're gentle," she replied, her luminescent skin taking on warmer tones. "I was told humans were brutal in their approach to problems, but you've been nothing but considerate." Their conversation was interrupted by a distant rumbling that seemed to come from deep within the planet itself. Both of them froze, listening intently as the sound faded away. "What was that?" Serafina whispered, moving instinctively closer to Jackson. "Probably just the planet settling," he said, though his hand instinctively moved to the plasma pistol at his side. "This place has been abandoned for years. The underground mining operations probably left the geology unstable. Growing attraction." The days passed. Their professional relationship began to evolve into something more personal. Serafina's initial reserve gradually melted away as she witnessed Jackson's resourcefulness and determination. He repaired damaged equipment with skills that impressed even her technologically advanced sensibilities, while she used her people's natural affinity for energy manipulation to optimize their limited power supplies. "Show me how you do that," Jackson said one evening, watching as Serafina somehow coaxed more efficiency from their failing generator through direct contact with its control systems. "It's not something I can easily explain," she replied, her hands glowing softly as they interfaced with the machinery. "My people evolved with a natural connection to electromagnetic fields. It's as natural as breathing." When she demonstrated, placing her hands over his to guide his movements, the sensation was electric in more ways than one. Her skin was warm and incredibly soft, and the faint luminescence seemed to respond to his touch, growing brighter where their skin made contact. "I can feel it," Jackson whispered, amazed. The generator hummed more smoothly under their combined efforts. "It's like music." Serafina's violet eyes widened at his words. "You can sense the harmonic frequencies. That's impossible. Humans don't have the neural pathways for electromagnetic perception. Maybe I'm special," he said with a grin that made her skin flush with golden light. The moment stretched between them, charged with possibilities neither dared voice. They were from different worlds, different species, with customs and biology that should have made any deeper connection impossible. Yet something fundamental seemed to be drawing them together. First contact with danger. Their growing intimacy was shattered when the mining station's proximity alarm suddenly activated. Emergency lights bathed everything in red as automated warnings echoed through the corridors. "Multiple contacts approaching from the southern quadrant," Serafina reported, her fingers flying over the station's sensor array. "3 vessels, unknown configuration." Jackson grabbed his weapon and moved to the observation window. In the distance, sleek ships with predatory lines descended toward their location. Even from afar, their aggressive design was unmistakable. "Korthak, raiders," he growled, recognizing the distinctive hull markings. The Korthak were a nomadic species known for their brutal efficiency and complete lack of mercy. They were scavengers and pirates who preyed on the weak and isolated. "They must have detected our crash landing," Serafina said, her skin now pulsing with alarmed crimson patterns. "They're probably hoping to salvage our ship and claim any survivors." The implications hung heavy between them. Korthak were notorious for their treatment of captives, particularly those from species they considered exotic or valuable. A human and Xylorian pair would be quite a prize in the wrong markets. "We need to go underground," Jackson decided quickly. "The mining tunnels extend for kilometers beneath the station. If we can reach the deeper levels, we might be able to hide until help arrives." Serafina nodded, already gathering their most essential supplies. "How long before our distress signal reaches the nearest patrol?" "Too long," Jackson admitted grimly. "We're on our own." As they prepared to abandon their temporary sanctuary, The sound of landing ships echoed across the facility. Harsh voices could be heard in the distance, speaking in the guttural Contact language. Time was running out. "Stay close to me," Jackson whispered, leading Serafina toward the maintenance shaft that would take them to the lower levels. "Whatever happens, we stick together." She nodded, her hand finding his in the darkness. The simple contact sent warmth through both of them, a connection that transcended species barriers. Whatever lay ahead in the depths of the mining station, they would face it together. The last thing they heard before disappearing into the tunnels was the crash of breaking glass as the raiders entered their former hideout. The real test of their survival and their growing bond was just beginning. The maintenance shaft was barely wide enough for two people, forcing Jackson and Serafina to move in single file through the cramped metal tunnel. Their breathing echoed softly in the confined space as they descended deeper into the mining station's bowels. Behind them, the sounds of the Contact raiders grew fainter, but no less threatening. "There's an access hatch about 50 meters ahead," Jackson whispered, consulting the station schematics on his portable scanner. The device's dim glow illuminated Serafina's face, her skin now a deep indigo that reflected her fear and determination. When they reached the lower level, they found themselves in a vast underground cavern that had been carved out by automated mining equipment decades ago. Massive support pillars stretched up into darkness, while pools of bioluminescent minerals cast an ethereal blue-green glow across the rough-hewn walls. "It's beautiful," Serafina breathed, her natural luminescence responding to the ambient light. Her skin began to shimmer with complementary colors, creating patterns that seemed to dance across her arms and face. Jackson found himself mesmerized by the display. "You're beautiful," he said without thinking, then immediately felt heat rise in his cheeks at his boldness. Serafina turned to look at him, her violet eyes reflecting the cavern's glow. "Jackson," she began, but her words were cut off by a distant explosion that shook dust from the ceiling above them. "They're blasting their way through the upper levels," he realized grimly. "We need to find a more secure location." The hidden chamber. Deeper in the cavern system, they discovered something unexpected, a natural chamber that the miners had apparently used as a break area. Someone had installed basic amenities here, a small shelter unit, emergency lighting, and even a primitive but functional heating system that drew power from geothermal vents. "This is perfect," Serafina said, activating the lighting system with her bioelectric abilities. The chamber was cozy rather than cramped, with smooth stone walls that retained heat well. "We could hold out here for days if necessary." As they set up their temporary camp, the close quarters and isolation began to affect them both. Every accidental touch, every shared glance carried new weight. The danger above had stripped away their professional facades, leaving only two beings drawn together by something neither fully understood. "I need to tell you something," Serafina said as they shared another meal of emergency rations. Her skin had taken on warm golden tones that made her look almost angelic in the soft light. "My people, we form deep emotional bonds through electromagnetic resonance. It's not something we can control." Jackson set down his food, giving her his full attention. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that what I'm feeling for you, it's not just attraction or gratitude for saving my life." Her luminescence intensified, creating intricate patterns across her skin. "It's a bonding response. Among my people, it only happens when we encounter someone whose neural patterns complement our own perfectly." The implications hit Jackson like a physical force. "But I'm human. How is that possible?" "I don't know," she admitted, moving closer to him on their makeshift bedding. "But I can feel your electromagnetic signature as clearly as if you were Xylorian. When you touch me." She reached out to take his hand, and immediately her skin blazed with brilliant light where their fingers intertwined. "Can you feel that?" He could. It was like touching live electricity, but instead of pain, it brought incredible warmth and pleasure that seemed to flow directly into his nervous system. "Serafina, this is incredible, but we can't. Our species have been working together for years," she finished softly. "There are no biological incompatibilities between us." The only barriers are cultural, and right now, stranded. On this planet, those seem less important than they once did. Passion in the depths. The truth was that both of them had been fighting their attraction since the moment they'd crashed. Professional duty and species loyalty had kept them apart, but isolation and danger had worn down those barriers. Now, alone in the depths of an alien world, there was nothing to stop them from exploring the connection that had been building between them. "I've never felt anything like this," Jackson confessed, his hands trembling as he traced the luminescent patterns on her arms. Where he touched, her skin blazed with warm gold and silver light, creating a living galaxy across her body. "Nor have I," she whispered, her own hands exploring the planes of his chest through his torn uniform. "This bonding, it's supposed to be sacred among my people, a once-in-a-lifetime connection." Their kiss was electric in the most literal sense. Serafina's natural bioelectricity created tiny sparks where their lips met, sending waves of pleasure through both of them that transcended anything either had experienced before. Her luminescent skin cast dancing shadows on the cavern walls as they pressed closer together. "Are you sure about this?" Jackson asked, even as his hands tangled in her silver hair. "I've never been more sure of anything," she replied, her voice carrying harmonics that seemed to resonate in his very bones. "The bond between us, it's real, Jackson. It's not just physical attraction or emotional comfort. It's something deeper." As they made love in the hidden chamber, their connection transcended the physical realm. Serafina's bioelectric abilities allowed her to literally share sensations with him, creating a feedback loop of pleasure that left them both gasping and amazed. Her skin blazed like a constellation, painting their passion in living light against the ancient stone walls. Dangerous discoveries. Hours later, as they lay entwined in the afterglow, the reality of their situation reasserted itself. Distant sounds echoed through the cavern system. The Korthak raiders were still searching for them, and their hiding place wouldn't remain secret forever. "They're getting closer," Jackson observed, listening to the mechanical sounds of scanning equipment somewhere in the tunnel system above them. Serafina nestled closer to him, her skin now a soft, contented blue-green. "Whatever happens, I don't regret this. The bonding between us, it's permanent now. Even if we're separated, I'll always be able to sense you. And I'll always find my way back to you," he promised, sealing the vow with another kiss that lit up the chamber with brilliant light. Their intimate moment was interrupted by a new sound, not the harsh voices of Korthak raiders, but something else entirely. A low, rhythmic pulsing that seemed to come from the very rock around them. "What is that?" Serafina asked, sitting up and placing her palm against the cavern wall. Her skin immediately responded, shifting to match the rhythm of the mysterious pulse. "It's alive." Jackson grabbed his scanner and began taking readings. What he found made his blood run cold. "Serafina, we need to get out of here. Now." "What is it?" "This isn't just a mining cavern. According to these readings, we're inside some kind of massive organism. A cave system that's actually a living creature. And I think our activities might have woken it up." The pulsing grew, stronger, and the chamber began to shift around them. What they had taken for carved stone was actually some kind of organic matter, now responding to their presence with increasing agitation. The final escapes, the living cavern, began to convulse. Around them, Jackson and Serafina found themselves racing through passages that were actively changing shape. Behind them, they could hear the panicked shouts of Korthak raiders who had also discovered the true nature of their underground refuge. "There!" Serafina pointed to a shaft of natural light filtering down from above. "An opening to the surface." They climbed desperately as the creature beneath them writhed in what might have been pain or anger. The organic walls secreted a luminous fluid that burned their skin, adding urgency to their escape. When they finally emerged onto the planet's surface, they found the Korthak ships in full retreat. The raiders had apparently decided that whatever treasures might be found in the mining station weren't worth facing a creature the size of a small mountain. "Look," Serafina said, pointing to the sky where a familiar shape was descending through the atmosphere. It's a rescue ship. Our distress signal finally reached someone. As the rescue vessel landed nearby, Jackson pulled Serafina close for one last moment of privacy. What happens now? When we get back to civilization? To our respective worlds? Her skin blazed with warm golden light as she smiled up at him. Now we prove that some bonds are stronger than politics or prejudice. The connection between us, it's not something that can be ignored or dismissed. We're bonded now, Jackson. For life. The rescue team approached, led by officers from both human and Xylorian fleets who had been searching for their missing diplomatic vessel. There would be questions, debriefings, and undoubtedly complications arising from their unprecedented interspecies bond. But as they walked hand in hand toward their rescuers, neither Jackson nor Serafina felt anything but excitement for the future. They had survived impossible odds, faced down raiders and alien creatures, and discovered a love that transcended the boundaries between worlds. Behind them, the mining station continued to shake as the massive creature beneath it stirred to full wakefulness. But ahead of them lay endless possibilities, a new chapter in both human and Xylorian history, written in the luminescent language of love that had been born in the depths of an alien world. Their story would become legend among both species, proof that the strongest alliances weren't forged in conference rooms or treaty negotiations, but in the crucible of shared danger and the fire of hearts that refused to be bound by anything as simple as biology or politics. Epilogue. New beginnings. 6 months later, Captain Jackson Drake and Navigator Serafina Vex stood before the interspecies council as the first officially recognized human-Xylorian bonded pair. Their survival story had become a symbol of cooperation and unity between their peoples, paving the way for deeper understanding and more intimate connections. The mining station had been evacuated and designated as a protected habitat for the massive creature they had unwittingly disturbed. Scientists from both species were studying the being, hoping to learn more about its unique properties and the role it might play in the planet's ecosystem. But for Jackson and Serafina, the most important discovery was each other. Their bond had only grown stronger over time, proving that love truly could bridge any gap, even the vast distances between stars. As they prepared for their next mission together, this time as official partners in both duty and life, Serafina's skin glowed with the warm, contented light that had become Jackson's favorite sight in the universe. "Ready for another adventure?" she asked, her voice carrying those harmonic undertones that still made his heart race. "As long as it's with you," he replied, taking her luminescent hand in his. "Always with you." Together, they walked toward their new ship, their intertwined destinies blazing a trail of light toward whatever wonders awaited them among the stars.